Hello everyone and welcome to my video series on how to play Pokemon. This episode will cover evolutions and the various changes that a Pokemon species can undergo. I'll also cover how certain Pokemon can take on different forms and what changes they bring. Evolutions are and have been a key part of Pokemon since the first generation. A majority of Pokemon have different stages, and when certain criteria are met, the Pokemon can evolve to the next stage. This is seen from the very beginning of each game with the starter Pokemon you receive upon embarking on your journey. Starter Pokemon have a basic stage, which is the stage you receive it in, followed by a first stage and finally a second final stage. Now I'm just using the starter Pokemon as an example. Some Pokemon like the starter Pokemon can evolve twice and have 3 stages. Some Pokemon only have 2 stages and therefore can only evolve once. And there are even a few Pokemon who only have 1 stage and can't evolve at all. If we could just do a real quick history lesson, Generation 2 introduced breeding, and along with breeding came the baby stage. The baby stage is the lowest evolutionary stage. It can always evolve and it can never breed. While some can be found in the wild, some can only be obtained by breeding. Breeding will be covered in tremendous detail in future episodes. So currently there are 4 evolutionary stages. From bottom to top, there's baby Pokemon, basic Pokemon, stage 1 evolution, and stage 2 evolution. The ways that Pokemon can evolve vary largely, and this is based purely on which species the Pokemon is. Most Pokemon, take the starters for example, evolve simply by reaching a certain level. Some, like Machoke and Boldore, evolve when traded. Some, like Scyther, evolve when traded and holding a certain item. Some very specific species have unique ways to evolve. For example, Karrablast only evolves by trading with Shelmet, and Shelmet only evolves while trading with Karrablast. Another unique example is that Inkay evolves at or after level 30, but you have to be holding your 3DS upside down to trigger the evolution. No, that's not a joke, try it out. You'd be right in assuming that because a Pokemon looks more developed and matured after it evolves, it probably gets better stats and new abilities. When a Pokemon evolves, a lot of things happen. Its base stats increase, most can learn new moves, some get new abilities, and some even change types. Now just because some Pokemon can evolve and others can't, doesn't mean that the Pokemon who can't evolve are worse in some way. Some stage 1 Pokemon, namely bug and normal types like Ladian and Bibarel, don't have a whole lot going for them, while some non-evolving Pokemon like Pinsir and Rotom are statistically some of the best Pokemon in the game at this point in time. Pinsir is going to help us explain why he's so good in a little bit, but for now let's talk about Rotom. I prefaced this video by saying that, in addition to evolutions, some Pokemon can take on forms. Forms are independent from evolutions and they work a bit differently. Depending on the Pokemon, some forms can be attained indefinitely until they're changed, and some can only be achieved under certain battle conditions. Rotom is an excellent example of a Pokemon with forms that last indefinitely. Rotom is an electric ghost type that was introduced in Generation 4, and since then, in every Pokemon game you can find a room with 5 electric appliances that Rotom can possess. Depending on the appliance, Rotom will change to a different form that resembles that appliance, its ghost type will change to a type that matches the main function of that appliance, and it will learn an exclusive move that matches the type it changed to. Possessing a microwave oven will change Rotom to its heat form, which is electric fire, and it will be able to learn overheat. Possessing a washing machine will change Rotom to its wash form, which is electric water, and it will be able to learn hydro pump. Possessing a refrigerator will change Rotom to its frost form, which is electric ice, and it will be able to learn blizzard. Possessing an electric fan will change Rotom to its fan form, which is electric flying, and it will be able to learn air slash. Possessing a lawnmower will change Rotom to its mow form, which is electric grass, and it will be able to learn leaf storm. And finally, losing possession of any of these appliances will change Rotom back to its normal form, and it'll learn thunder shock if it doesn't know any other moves. So as you can see, Rotom is a very unique, versatile Pokemon with a lot of possibilities. Castform is a great example of a Pokemon with battle forms. Castform's default form is normal type and permanent outside of battle, but if he's in battle and the weather changes to either harsh sunlight, rain, or hail, Castform's form will change to fire, water, or ice, respectively, to match the weather. I'll be covering weather in detail in a later episode, so we'll be seeing some more of Castform later on. Let's get Pinsir back in the spotlight. A new type of form was introduced in Generation 6 called Mega Evolution. Mega Evolutions, ironically, are not an evolutionary stage, but rather a form that a Pokemon can take on in battle. If a trainer possesses a Mega Ring and the Pokemon is holding the correct Mega Stone, that trainer can trigger a Mega Evolution on the Pokemon before they select a move for it. Any Pokemon Mega Evolving will do so at the very beginning of a turn before any Pokemon make a move. Mega Evolutions are very powerful and can dramatically increase the viability of a Pokemon, but they come at 2 costs. First, the Pokemon must hold their appropriate Mega Stone, which makes them less flexible as to which items they can hold. Second, you're only allowed to Mega Evolve once per battle. You can have multiple Pokemon hold Mega Stones, but once one Pokemon Mega Evolves, that's it. Your other Pokemon aren't allowed to Mega Evolve for the remainder of that battle. Mega Evolutions, just like regular evolutions, can change a Pokemon's stats, abilities, and types, generally for the better. Only a handful of Mega Evolutions currently exist, but with the event-exclusive release of Mega Blaziken, a lot of people speculate that more will be released over time. Well, that's it for evolutions. Next time around, I'm going to be covering priority, so stay tuned and thanks for watching.